So I know that there is a lot of stuff missing from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake, but that doesn't mean it's not a great game. And it's a great game that has loads of Easter eggs, secrets, and hidden details to find. Now, I'm just one man, so there is a chance that I've missed something, and if you think I have, then let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to feature it in a future video. Oh, and if you are a fan of Easter eggs and details in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that is all this channel is about. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's tackle these Easter eggs in order, starting with the first level of Tony Hawk 3. Well, the first level that has something worth sharing anyway. Now, Canada is a level that has had something removed in this remake, but you can still find clues about what that thing was. On top of this half pipe, you can find a man staring longingly into the distance, and if you take a seat next to him, he seems to have one thing on his mind.
Sure am thirsty. A view like this gives a guy a powerful thirst. Whew, thirsty.
So this man is really, really thirsty. Perhaps even dehydrated. Well, maybe that explains why in the remake he's not peeing, but in the original Tony Hawk 3 he was. I mean, it's dumb that someone peeing has to be removed in 2025, but I do think it's kind of funny that the devs seemingly acknowledge the man's past exploits. Next up is the Suburbia level, which was one of my favourite maps in the original game. Now, the main attraction of this level is the spooky house, which bears more than a passing resemblance to the Bates family house from Psycho, which I'm sure isn't a coincidence. I mean, you can even find a woman being held hostage in the house, and despite being in grave danger, she still has time to make several bat puns, which earns my respect.
I am going batty in here! I am getting battered!
Oh, and the TV behind the lady is playing a film. And it's not just any old film or stock footage, it's George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, which released all the way back in 1960. Up next is the airport level, which takes place at a train station. Okay, so it takes place at an airport, I mean the clue is in the name. Anyway, here we can find the first of two SpongeBob SquarePants references in this remake. Down in Departures, the voice over the tannoy will say this.
The driver of a white sedan, you left your lights on.
So the mention of a white sedan that's left its lights on is a reference to this scene from SpongeBob.
Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on.
Oh, and despite not all being Easter eggs, some of the tannoy announcements are pretty funny, so here are a few of my favourites.
Skip, your lunch break is over. Please finish eating your haunted chicken poppers and report back to the check-in counter. We are now boarding groups A and B. Platinum Plus Prestige Royalty members, and generally superior passengers. Flight 222 to Tucson is receiving a tow and a tune-up and is now 2 minutes behind schedule. That's 222 to Tucson for a tow and a tune-up. 2 minutes behind schedule. Please do not park in front of the terminal. We will tow your car and send you the parts in a box.
The other Easter egg that you can find on the airport level is a UFO. If you look out of this window, you can see a spaceship hovering outside. Unfortunately, it seems that this isn't an actual spaceship though, as when you move the camera, it starts warping, so it's more likely just a reflection on the glass. I did head outside to see if I could see anything in the night sky, but nope. Right, it's time to move on to Skater Island now, which is home to SpongeBob and his pals. Using the game's pretty handy photo mode, you can find a sign for Bikini Bottom just in front of the ship. Looking into the water, and sure enough, all of the familiar locations of Bikini Bottom are there. Well, if you wanted to take a closer look, you can. Simply grind to the edge of the ship and jump. So it's Bikini Bottom. I mean, what else did you expect? Here you can see the familiar sights of SpongeBob, Patrick and Squidward's homes, the Bikini Bottom sign, and that's about it. There isn't really much to see or do here, and when you jump off the edge you're taken back to the ship. Still, it's a pretty cool Easter egg. The other Easter egg on Skater Island actually requires some legwork. First up, you'll need to grind the pirate flag to trigger the Skull and Bones gap, which will cause this to happen. So after hearing that creepy laugh, you'll need to head back to the pirate ship and perform a lip trick next to the skeleton. So the skeleton is now alive, and wondering how I'm managing to maintain such perfect balance. Now, the Doomslayer being in this game is no secret. The man was plastered all over the game's promotional material, and was included as a pre-order bonus. I mean, he was in the original Tony Hawk 3 for free, but that was only if you had the PC version, so I'll let them off. Anyway, even if you didn't pre-order the game, you can still see the Doomslayer. On the Tokyo level, if you look to the sky, you can see a giant hologram of the man himself doing poses that I'm not sure the real Doomslayer would approve of. So the final Easter egg for Tony Hawk 3 can be found on the cruise ship level. If you smash all of the glass on the right hand side of the ship, and trust me, even when you think you've smashed it all, you'll have definitely missed some, this will happen.
Yes! You, skater down there! You have shattered the glass and set me free! From the fiery depths I have returned, the true Captain Jennings! That imposter will not be bothering us anymore. Yes, for your diligence, I offer a bit of advice. Don't jump in the water. It's wet. Thank you.
So smashing the glass seems to free the real captain of the ship. And you know what? I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Right, let's move on to Tony Hawk 4 now, with the first level of interest being college. Now, usually product placement in games is overbearing and immersion breaking, but adding a Taco Bell to the college map does kind of make sense. Well, if you grind the Taco Bell sign, you can hear this. So that was the iconic Taco Bell bell sound.
It's all for you.
I don't know about the rest of my UK viewers, but we only got Taco Bell in my town this year, so there is a chance that some of you may have never heard that sound before, whereas our friends from across the pond are probably sick to death of it. The next level of interest from Tony Hawk 4 is the movie studio level. If you skate around this corner, you can find a glowing green manhole cover that's practically begging for you to go inside. However, before you dive in, pay attention to the rats scurrying around nearby, with one of them managing to snag itself a slice of pizza. Well, this pizza-loving rat is definitely a hint of what's to come, but it's also a reference to the viral clip of a rat in New York doing the same thing. Anyway, let's head inside the sewer to see what we can find. So it's a secret green-tinted underground skate park. And you know who else likes skating and pizza? Well, I'm guessing a lot of people, but for the purposes of this Easter egg, the answer is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, this area is a reference to the heroes in a half shell, with paintings of their Renaissance artist namesakes found hanging on the wall, which is a nice touch. Also, you can find Raph's sais and Mikey's nunchucks, but no sign of Donnie's bow staff or Leo's katanas, which is a little strange. Next up is by far the longest Easter egg in this entire video, and for that reason I'll put a time on screen now if you wanted to skip it. I mean, I would suggest that you at least listen to the first 30 seconds, but I can't tell you what to do. Anyway, on the Alcatraz map, you can see a tour guide driving around giving a tour to absolutely nobody. Well, if you skitch to the back of the lonely guide, he will give you a speed run tour of the island. Oh, and like I said, if you did want to skip this one, go to the time on screen now.
The prison closed in 1963, but in 1969, Native American activists occupied the place for 19 months. Want to know how they got here? They jumped off a boat and swam ashore. Wild, right? Better not try it yourself. We don't let people in the water these days. See those double doors? They're all over the island, and they lead to secret staircases. They're from back in the day when guards had to get around the place quickly, just like in the movies. I don't like to go in there personally. It's a maze, too dark and spooky, but it's amazing the places you can wind up. One time, a tour group got lost and it took us all day to find them. Well, most of them. Don't worry though, it might have a dark history, but Alcatraz Island is safe as houses these days. Just stay with your tour group and keep a map handy. That's what I always tell my wife and the kids. It's safer on the island than it is on the mainland. But you know, they worry. I worry too. Sheila's been working at the foundry and the commute's a killer. But you wouldn't believe the kinds of accidents they have over there, especially with all the skateboarders causing trouble these days. They can be so reckless in pursuit of their spectacular tricks and their staggering high scores. Present company excluded, of course. I know you always put safety first.
Clear of the
Good
road.
Lord, where'd you come from? Don't worry, it's not important. Keep stitching and I'll give you a tour. Okay, here we go. The current cell block was finished in 1912 and quickly became feared in 1920s as Uncle Sam's Island. The first lighthouse was built in 1854 and was later replaced with the current version in 1905. Hey, where have all the tourists gone? You see any? Sometimes I worry that the tourists know something we don't, but I mostly hate when they throw their litter all over the place, especially especially when it gets blown into the ocean or onto the roof. Someone's gotta clean that up, you know, not me, someone else. Anyway, last week we caught one of them crawling around trying to scrape some barnacles off the bottom of the boat. They were going to sell them at a fancy farmer's market back on the mainland. Can you believe it? Well, don't get any ideas, those aren't edible. You can get really sick. Just because you see a bird eating something doesn't mean it's okay for a human to eat it. I learned that one the hard way. My doctor told me that bird stomachs have a special lining and powerful digestive acid. Gross, right? Keep your distance from them. They're vectors for disease. That's what my mom always said, and she lived to be 107 years old. We should all be so lucky. First up, I'd like to point out that I hate Ranger Bob and think he's evil. It was his job to clean up after those birds that keep messing up our beautiful pavilions, but did he? No! The birds had the run of the place. Now that he's gone, we've been short-staffed for over 20 years, and everyone's trying to pitch in, but we can't keep up. There's a lot of birds here, and I don't know what they're eating, but it sure makes a big mess all over the place. You can scrub for hours, then the next day, it's just as bad, maybe even worse. Those birds are something else. They have a grim look in their eyes, sharp beaks that poke, and talons that can rip and shred. Those birds have a bad attitude, and guess what? Just last week, one of them pecked me. That being said, 1775, Alcatraz was originally named La Isla de Alcatraz. In 1846, John Fremont purchased the island for $5,000, but in 1850, President Fillmore ordered that the island would be used as a military facility. The word Alcatraz means pelican, although I've never seen one around here, thankfully. Their large beaks make me uncomfortable. The fun never stops here on Alcatraz Island. There's a lot to see, so let's continue the tour. Hang tight, and we'll pass the cell block soon. Of course, they're not in use anymore, but if you listen carefully, you might hear the rattling of chains, or even the twang of Al Capone's banjo. Some say Alcatraz Prison is one of the most haunted places in the country. Just last October, one of those reality television shows came by and tried to capture a ghost on film. Can you believe it? They even brought a psychic along, but she left almost right away. I don't go in for that supernatural stuff myself, but I have to admit I've heard a creepy voice or two in my time on the island. Spooky! Anyway, Alcatraz has 4 different cell blocks, including the notorious cell block D, where most of the most twisted inmates were kept. Each cell is about 9 by 5 feet, and that's not a lot of space. Back during the Civil War, the prison was used to hold Confederate soldiers, and after President Lincoln was assassinated, also held sympathizers found celebrating his death. In more recent history, Alcatraz Island was declared a landmark in 1986 and is one of the country's most popular tourist attractions. Whether it's the gruesome fate of the many prisoners or a fascination with the eerie supernatural phenomenon that still haunts the island, there's just something special about Alcatraz, not to mention the sick lines.
Okay, so next up is arguably the most offensive Easter egg in the game. But if I'm honest, it's not that offensive. The original development team behind the Tony Hawk series were the legendary Neversoft, who would later go on to create the Guitar Hero games before Activision shut them down in 2014. Now, the reason for that brief history lesson is because in a trash can on the Waterpark map, you can find this suspicious looking box poking out of the top. If you knock the bin over, you can see that the box is for a game called Banjo Champion, which is a not so subtle nod to the Guitar Hero series. There's also some funny text that can be found on the back, which reads, "This text is for the consumer. It cannot prepare you for the amazing game inside." This text is mostly gibberish, but needs to be here anyway. This makes the package feel more complex and makes it feel totally real. Now, the reason that some people, though I'm not sure who, got offended is because putting a copy of a now dead game series in the bin was seen as an insult, and I do kind of get it. But the fact that this box is being removed in the game's next update just seems really silly to me. Anyway, moving on from controversial boxes and onto another controversial box. On the shipyard level, you can find loads of shipping containers. I mean, what did you expect? Well, if you take a closer look inside one particular container using our good old friend photo mode, you can find this. So it's a blow-up doll that's been tucked away for a rainy day. To be honest, I'm glad this is as close as we can get. Oh, and I'm not sure if this counts as an Easter egg or a detail, but off in the distance you can actually spot the cruise ship that the cruise ship level takes place on, which is pretty cool. Now, you know how I said that I think people may be overreacting to the whole Banjo Champion thing? Well, this next Easter egg kind of proves it. The pinball level is awesome when you're not getting absolutely battered by pinballs. And yes, that was a reference to our bat pun friend from earlier.
I am getting battered!
You can even unlock a giant blue eye that appears beneath the level, which is of course a nod to Neversoft's logo, which is a nice touch. Well, an even nicer touch is what happens when you grind around the eye. So the name of the gap is gone, but never forgotten. Oh, and something else that I'm sure you've all noticed, but I'm going to mention it anyway, is that if you look up, you can see Tony Hawk himself playing the pinball machine. So every time you're taken out by a pinball, you know who to blame. Right, so that does it for the level-specific discoveries. Let's take a look at the stuff that can be found in multiple places, starting with the board I'm using. This board tape is called Nobody Calls Me Chicken, which is a reference to your boy Marty McFly from Back to the Future.
Nobody calls me chicken.
The design of the tape is the same one that's seen on the hoverboard that Marty rides in the movie. Now, it wouldn't be a Tony Hawk game without unlockable characters, and despite not having the likes of Wolverine to play as, you can unlock a couple of pretty cool skaters. First up, on the pinball level, you'll need to enter the mouth of this bird skull, and then when it spits you out, or maybe poops you out, you have to try and avoid the various pinballs that are determined to wreck your day. After dodging the balls, you'll then need to wall plant the fingerboard signs that I do. And when you've done that to both, you'll get a trophy/achievement called Wizard Mode. And that seems to be it. Well, if you head to the secret shop, you can now buy Strange Feathers, which will unlock the legendary Birdman. Now, Birdman not only looks really cool and has some great looking moves, but when he bails, it looks pretty awesome too.
Uh-oh, almost lunchtime.
The other unlockable character requires a bit more work. On each of the levels you can find one of these panda plushies, and instead of showing you the location of each one, because that would take ages and analytics show me that people usually skip guides anyway, I'll link to a smaller creator so you can use their guide instead. Now when you've collected the 19 pandas, Constable Richard will be available to buy in the secret shop. Constable Richard is the UK version of Officer Dick from other Tony Hawk games, but if you prefer Dick, you can choose to play as him. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, Officer Dick and Constable Richard are voiced by Jack Black. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you think that I've missed anything, then let me know in the comments, and if you want more Easter egg action, tap the video on screen now. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.